Francesca.
Hi, Jody. Hi, honey.
How are you?
Girl, I am taking it one day at a time, but I am good. I am good.
Yes,
Yes. How are you?
I am doing good for the most part. So it's
Yeah.
been good. It's
I'm
been
so glad
good.
you're doing this. You look good. You look
Thank
really
you. I accept that. Thank you. I received that. Well, let me introduce you for people who may not know who you are. You know, the Silver Lining series is all about talking about people within my circle, dynamic people, and I really consider you a dynamic person. For people who don't know who you are, this is Francesca. She is a love and a life coach. She's been featured on what? The Today Show, CBS, bizarre articles. I kind of stalk her a little bit, just a little bit, but it's okay because we're friends.
It's always
Um,
fun.
but what's interesting is that you're like a corporate lawyer turned
Yeah.
life coach. How do
Yeah.
you go? That's a question I have. Like, how do you go from law to actually connecting with people and elevating their lives? But I find that part of you very, very interesting because there's still that lawyer in you, I'm sure. Um,
I refer to myself as a recovering lawyer.
ah, makes sense. Makes sense. And you're also a sound bath healer. And just an amazing New York woman living in the city of LA. So, ladies and gentlemen, Francesca Hogi, how
Oh
are
my goodness. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
you? Yes. Oh, and I should mention that you've been on Survivor twice.
Oh.
So on 2 seasons of Survivor. So that's another thing. She loves a good challenge. Um, I guess that gives you the fuel to be such a great life coach and talking about being a life coach, living in this life right now. How are you feeling? Like, how are you feeling about the world that we're in right now
Yeah,
as
yeah.
you see it?
hmm I feel so many ways. I have been through so many emotions. I think just like everyone else, there's still an element of shock because
Yeah,
it's very surreal, right?
right.
Um, so I've allowed myself to feel my feelings, right? And not try to kick immediately into productivity mode or not try to kick immediately into, okay, now I'm going to revamp my whole life and I'm going to come out of this like this brand new amazing version of myself, right? Because I see a lot of people putting that level of pressure on themselves,
Mm.
and if that's something that feels great to you and feels like it's a really good time to do that, amazing. But it hasn't really felt like that for me yet, frankly. I'm good. I'm so blessed. I have a very good situation. I am safe. I am healthy. I am self-contained, so I have nothing to complain about. I got a pantry and a refrigerator full of food.
That's all, like, that is so important.
It's so important. I'm like, what do I have to complain about? I have a
Right.
boyfriend who cut my hair for me this morning.
Which was on IG, if anyone missed that, which was amazing. But go ahead.
So it's my second home haircut of the quarantine. But I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I mean, I do think that, there's so many different ways that I'm looking at this whole situation. And, one of them is that even though it's scary and obviously it's tragic and, so many people have lost their lives and will continue to, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
it's a real life, real time illustration of how connected we all are.
Mm. Mm.
And
Explain that a little bit more.
so, like, if you think about it, this virus started with one person.
Mm-hmm.
And now millions of people, the whole world is affected, right? Millions of people have this virus. And well, we're over 1 million now, right? That
Mm-hmm.
have the
Mm-hmm.
virus worldwide. And it's going to increase. And it's obviously it's a virus, so it's not a it's not a positive illustration of how
Right.
connected we are. But if you think about just the way that we are in the world, just our energy in the world that we bring to our lives and to our interactions with other people, that's contagious too, right? And I
Right.
think it's very easy to underestimate how much impact you as one individual person has on the planet. But this is an illustration of how we actually all have a lot of impact on each other.
Yeah. It's like the visual of our interdependence of one another, right? It's like the visual, like if you're looking at those visual maps that show how it's spreading and how it's spread, it's almost like that's a visual of the energy that's showing of how we're connected with one another. Wow, I didn't even think about that. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
So
Yeah.
in that way, it's like, okay, if you think about, all right, so this is obviously this is something we don't want to
Mm-hmm.
spread, right? This is, but think about like, especially when we come out of this, and even now, because how connected are we right now, right? Like, thank God we have technology. I mean, I know a lot of people that I'm talking to, a lot of my clients and friends are like, I actually feel more connected to people than I normally do. Because normally I'm running around busy, busy, busy. And now I'm like, well, I need to like see my family. I need to see my friends. I need to have that interaction. I need to, people are investing. A lot of people are using this time to invest more in their connections than they
Right.
normally do because of the demands of our busy lives. So I think that is definitely one of the silver linings. But when you think about when this is over and when whatever the world is going to look like when this is over, how can we be contagious in a good way?
Right.
Right. Like,
Right.
how can we be a little bit more loving to everyone? How can we be a little bit more empathetic to everyone? How can we be more considerate of our neighbors? How can we look out for each other more? How can we take better care of ourselves? Because like right now, if we're not taking care of ourselves, then we're not doing any good to the people in our lives,
Right.
right? So we all need to be mindful of like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do so that I can be in the most positive state of mind possible. Not that it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be
Mm-hmm.
rosy all the time, right? Because we're
Mm-hmm.
human and
Right.
we have all sorts of emotions. They're not all positive, right? And that's fine and that's beautiful, actually. But um, I think about this for parents. I'm not a parent, but I think about this for parents. I think that's a good illustration. Like people who are parents know that they got to pull their shit together for their children,
Right.
right? Like
Right.
people know they're like people. I mean, and not that they can always do that effectively, but a lot of parents have that built-in understanding of how they're directly going to impact. Like, hey, if I'm a mess, then my kids are going to be a mess. So I need to do what I need to do to take care of myself so I can be there for my kids. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we all need to do for each other. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that this is giving us an opportunity to invest more in ourselves, and that just has a ripple effect, into our communities.
Are you finding during these times, talking about investing in ourselves, do you find like during these times people are leaning on you more for consultation as a coach? Are we calling you more to talk about this from a life perspective, to talk about our dating lives? Like, is that even in existence right now
Yes.
while we're going through this?
Yes.
How's that going as far
Yeah.
as coaching goes?
Yeah, so people are leaning on me more, which is another reason why I need to, again, like make sure I'm doing what I need to do to be in a place where I can be of help and support to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, dating is still a thing. um, and I actually think it's a really good time to date because, what's been challenging about modern dating, and we've seen it just get more and more challenging in the past, 5-10 years, is because we have so much technology at our fingertips and we are so easily distracted. And it's very easy, especially if you're somebody who dates on apps, it's very easy to start to treat people like they're items in a catalog
Right.
rather than real people, right? And to be very judgmental and to be like, you know what I mean? Like that's a very easy thing to do and a very easy habit to get into. And it's also very easy to just have a very low bar. Just be like, all right, hey, I just matched with this person. Like, sure, you want to get a drink? Like just real casual, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and now if you're looking for a relationship, now is the time. You're gonna sort out the people real quickly who have no interest or ability in investing in getting to know you, right? Because if you think about it now, like if you match with somebody and you guys connect, you don't know when you're going to see each other face to face. So,
Right.
so
Right.
people who are still going to say, okay, even though I don't have the instant gratification of being able to hook up with you tomorrow or go out with you this weekend, who's still going to invest their time in going on virtual dates? Like, I have so many clients who are virtual dating right now.
What is virtual dating? Explain that to me, because so fascinating.
So basically, it's just video dating, right? So it's basically like if you and I were on a date right now, and having intention behind it is important, right?
Okay.
So like, okay, so I love you. I didn't put on any makeup. I didn't put on any jewelry.
Because this is me and you.
I'm just keeping it all the way real. Like, I haven't put on makeup in over a month. Like, that's just real.
Just a little bit powder and a little, right, I get it. I get it.
How it is right now. But if this was a date and we set a time to go on a date, I would have put on some makeup. I would have treated it like a date, you know? And I have clients who they're cooking dinner with guys over Zoom or Skype or FaceTime. And they're going on walks together, like him in his neighborhood, her in her neighborhood, but they're doing it together and like showing each other, be like, oh yeah, this, like, you know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of opportunities for creativity if you have that intention. Like, if you're like, all right, listen, this is somebody that I'm willing to invest some time in getting to know. So yeah, I'm going to put on some earrings and sit down at 7:00 and, like, you know, have a drink with this person or have dinner with this person or watch a movie. I have a client who she and a guy she connected with on Bumble. They've been, we brainstormed a bunch of new date ideas for them today, actually, but so far they've watched a movie together virtually.
Gosh.
You know, they've cooked dinner together. Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's like, you know, and I could say this for transparency, when you were encouraging me to go on these online dates, it's that anxiety of meeting somebody in real life that was so much pressure for me that I would just, you know, raise my hands and say, no, I don't want to go on a date. I don't want to date. I don't want to date because of that anxiety of that first meet at the bar, you know? Yeah, but like this kind of like alleviates all that. It's like, forget it. You don't need to worry about that. Just do it virtually.
Just do it virtually. And you also, it's maybe an opportunity to maybe experiment with dating some different kinds of people than you normally wouldn't have. It's also an opportunity, especially like if you're a person who has a habit of, like, you know, when you meet somebody, it's on and popping immediately, and you know that's not a pattern that serves you because you're like, I've done that a million times and it's not worked in terms of me meeting the partner that I want to meet or whatever. It's like, okay, this is actually a return to a more old-fashioned kind of courtship where people actually have to spend time, right, and make effort, and not just texting. So when people are connecting online and they're just texting every day, I'm not a huge fan of that because that can really create a false sense of intimacy. And that's also very, very low effort, right? But if you're actually picking up the phone and talking, if you're actually taking the time to do face-to-face video dates, like, that's effort, you know? And that requires some creativity to, like, keep that going. And so I think, I know for sure there are going to be a ton of people who are connecting for the first time during this time online who are going to wind up, they're going to be Corona weddings, for sure.
Corona weddings?
There are going to be Corona
babies were a thing.
Yes.
Corona weddings.
It's for sure going to happen. It's for sure going to happen. I have one client who I spoke to today, the one who we were brainstorming more date ideas. Like, her and this dude are for sure going to be in a relationship when this is over. I'm not saying it's going to last forever. It's too soon to say, but, like,
right.
They are not messing around. Like, they're having some deep conversations. They are putting in the work to really get to know each other and to be vulnerable and to share. And, like, they're both into it.
Wow. And is this the kind of, like, are you sharing these pointers on the Dear Franny podcast? Because you do have a podcast where you talk about romance, and you're doing more coaching and instructional work here about love and relationships.
Yeah. So my podcast is most of my episodes are interview episodes where I'm interviewing a different person and we're talking about love and it's all different kinds of people. But
Mm-hmm.
I also have these episodes that's just me, and I just released one about dating now. You know, I don't know why I have no concept of time anymore.
Girl, I woke up thinking it was, I can't even tell you when I thought it was. I have no sense of time.
I think it was a week ago. I don't know.
I get it.
So yes, I am talking about this on the podcast, and we're going to continue. How can we not? This is everyone's life right now,
Right?
and people are not going to give up on connection and love and intimacy, and nor should anyone give up on that, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a great time to start dating.
Now we're talking about dating. Any pointers or advice for people that are living with their significant other? This is a very interesting time where people are starting to really see their partners because we're forced to be in the homes and see one another for the first time. Any pointers or advice there?
Yeah, I mean, I think, to the extent that you can carve out some me time, that's important. Like I posted some tips on Instagram yesterday just about self-care during this time. And one of the biggest tips, and this has been something that I've been doing pre-COVID-19, but I'm really happy that I have this practice as something I do now, is that like I already worked from home. My boyfriend did it. Now he does, right? But I already knew that for me, my days, I feel the best when I have like an hour to 2 hours in the morning before I do anything, before I start working, before I start talking to clients, before I start doing anything. And that's my like me time. And that's my time if I'm going to read, if I'm going to go for a walk, if I'm going to meditate, if I'm going to journal, whatever. I mean, I had like a whole little listening party for one yesterday.
I love it.
And so obviously, like, depending on your situation, if you're living in a tiny apartment in New York City, it's going to be a lot more, it's going to require some more a little bit more maneuvering, right, to make that happen. Maybe go to the bathroom. There was this, not my current relationship, but my previous relationship where we lived together, we lived in a small place and the bathroom was my sanctuary.
That's how we roll in these New York streets.
That was my sanctuary. And he'd be like, what are you doing there? I'm like, don't worry about it. That's my me time.
I love it.
Right? So we need to find those ways to have our me time because it's a lot of togetherness.
Yeah.
It's a lot of togetherness. So, I mean, one of the other tips that I have for couples, and this is actually, I have this tip for everyone. If you can, again, like if your situation permits it, don't work in bed. Don't be on your computers in bed. Don't be on your phones in bed. Really have your bed be a place that's about intimacy. It's about relaxation.
Yeah.
Really like carve that out. And this is like, and I said, this is for everyone. I don't care if you are in a studio apartment and it's just you and a cat. It's like still like try to have some space be that place that's just about recharging, just about intimacy. And not bringing, you don't need to wake up and the first thing you do is like you're emailing your boss, while you're still in bed. It just doesn't feel good. And especially now, we don't know how long we're going to be in this situation. So just being really strategic about like, okay, how can we start to create some kind of normal here where we have a little bit of space. And then the other thing with couples is that you got to also, I mean, I'm talking about virtual dates for people who are, physically apart, but, go on a date in the house.
Yeah.
It's really easy to just be like on the sofa, like watching TV every night while you, eat dinner, but maybe like have a candlelight dinner.
Yeah. Maybe play cards or something. Right? Yeah. I love that.
Play a game together, like do a project together. Like again, creativity. I'm gonna keep saying it because this is like my mantra.
I love it.
None of us has ever been through this before. We don't know, but we gotta be creative, and we are creative, so we can figure this out. We can figure this out. So yeah.
Talking about never being here before, Franny, do you see a silver lining in this? Is there a silver lining?
I think that, yes, I do think there's a silver lining. I think, like I said, the fact that we are being more focused on connection right now.
Yeah.
Because we have to be so intentional about it, and we feel the absence of it. Like, we're like, oh, this is not going to work. Like, I very much love my boyfriend. I'm happy we live together. He can't be the only interaction I have. He can't be the only human interaction I have.
Right.
You know, like, I need to be connected to my family. I need to be connected to my friends. I need to be connected to the community at large, right? And so the fact that we're all feeling that, I talk to people who are, some of them are married with kids and they're all in the house together. Some of them are totally by themselves. Some of them are with roommates, all different kinds of situations. Every single person, no matter their situation, is yearning for connection.
Wow.
Everyone is, right? And so it's really, I think it's really an opportunity for us to say, like, oh, we have kind of gotten away from this a little bit too much in all of the hectic busyness of our lives. But this is a return to that. So if we are able to take this new understanding and translate that into whatever comes next, you know, then that's going to make all of our lives better, you know?
Love it.
So I think that is a silver lining. And for people who are, you know, some people who are able to really take this time to use it, like, okay, well, now I finally have time to think about this business I wanted to launch, or now I have time to, you know, actually spend time with my kids who I used to complain I never got to spend time with before, or, you know, like, so there is an opportunity. Now I have time to figure out how to meditate finally, because I never had time to do that.
Right.
You know, and we're just like, how many people are discovering like amazing DJs and music and all, you know, movies and books and just things that we don't always have time to pay attention to. And, you know, I mean, I don't know how many dance classes you've taken recently, but I've taken way more dance classes since this started.
Debbie Allen. I was watching Debbie Allen right before our call.
Yes, so. I know. I saw she was live, and I was like, dang it, I can't take that class right
now. Exactly. I was like, wait, Debbie Allen's on Franny. Right. Same.
Right. So that's beautiful, and I think that's not going to go away. It's not like, I think now that we've really stepped, and we're stepping more and more into this virtual connecting. Obviously, we're all dying to be out and to be like face to face with people, but we also still now be like, okay, yeah, we can balance that face to face, and maybe we'll connect with some other people we don't have an opportunity to be face to face with in a more intentional way. Right. So, you know, so there's definitely opportunity there. There's definitely opportunity there.
How can people keep in contact with you, Franny? How do you mind sharing your social channels with folks, and where can they find your podcast?
Absolutely. So I am at Dear Franny on everything. Makes it real easy. My podcast is called Dear Franny. That's Franny. I'm at Dear Franny on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn.
Oh my God. I forgot they all exist.
I'm just trying to, like, people are like, oh, like, dear, I'm like, listen, it's not even that I'm so attached to that name, but once I came up with it, I'm like, I'm using this for everything.
For everything. Yeah, I get it.
It's a lot easier. So people can connect with me that way. I'm also offering, because I know there are a lot of people who are just dealing with, like, right now, I don't even know how to start dating, or I don't even know what to do about work, or I don't know what to do about my business. So if anybody is struggling with that and you want some support and you want to do an hour-long session with me so we can brainstorm some ideas and some strategies for you, I'm offering those on a pay-what-you-can basis. So if people go to like Instagram, for instance, if you go to my bio, there's a link there, and you can just book your pay what you can session online. And you pay afterwards. So we have a session and then you pay. So you decide. But I've been doing a bunch of those and I love doing them because it's given me an opportunity to talk to like a lot of different kinds of people that maybe aren't normally the people who are going to hire a love coach or a life coach. But it's been really good. And for a lot of people, the feedback has been like, wow, I really felt like I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And now I have a plan. So, so it's been relieving to them. And then also, as you mentioned, I'm also a sound healing practitioner and I've been doing sound baths virtually. And I'm doing them now on Instagram Live. So that's on Sundays on Instagram. Probably noon Pacific time is going to be the regular time, but I'm also bringing in some different guests for that. So the time might fluctuate a bit, but if people, follow me on Instagram, then they can stay up to date with everything.
I love it. I love how you're just taking all of your loves and passion and just bringing it to the forefront right now and just being creative and innovative with it. So needed. So needed.
And thank for you. I'm so glad that you're doing this series.
Thank
you. You were born for this.
Thank you. Well, this is what we need. This is what people need right now. They just need a silver lining in all this because, you turn on the news every day. It's so much negative. So let's just talk about the positive that's happening.
Exactly. And that's like one of my biggest piece of advice for people is to limit how much news you're watching.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we need to stay informed, but we don't need 24/7 fear cycle. We don't need that. It's not good for anybody. That's not good for anybody.
Not at all. Not at all. But thank you so much, Franny, for being with us here on The Silver Lining.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be sure to make sure that we properly credit all of your social channels, website on the credits after the show. So stick around for more information about Franny during the credits after The Silver Lining. So thank you, Franny.
Thank you, Joe.